taking your question back to almost 6 decades plus, after having joined architecture for various reasons. One of the first influences after joining, there were only 5 schools of architecture in those days. My brother, in my second year, gave me a book called Fountainhead. I didn't know what it was. I read the Fountainhead after some time. The way, the depth of understanding it became changed my way I looked at architecture. At the same time, I was more involved in not the actual classes, but in the what is happening around the world. Like I was the president of the union, president of writing a newspaper for students, these things. I was also involved with a lot of the tourism department. So the tourism department would suddenly, this is what sometimes happens to me. This happened 3 times in those period of my second year to third year. One day they called me and said, "Can you please go to the airport? There is some architect sitting there, his flight is delayed, can you please keep him?" In those days, we didn't know what flights, no recording, nothing. So I took my motorcycle, which was my favorite, and parked it there. There was a very nice gentleman sitting there. They did say that you'll come and sit with me. Thank you very much. Then the attendant came and said, "No, the flight is further delayed." Then we went on talking. During the process of talking, he was talking to me about how structure should be formed, how it should be looked after, looked at, things, all about steel structures and prefabricated structures and systems. Then he talked about the tetrahedra and the hexagon and forms. Little did I realize, in the 2.5 hours I spent with he would make me sketch the triangle, then the hexagon, then the octagon, and put it together. Then they talked about the geodesic dome, how it can be formed and patterned and all this. Even then it didn't strike me anything. I said, at the end of it, said, "Thank you very much for taking." It literally took a class for 2 hours with me sitting there. When I went back to the college, then the professor asked me, "Why were you missing the first class here?" I said, "I thought I'd come back now, but I had to attend to a very serious, important visitor of architecture who had come to the airport." "Don't bluff." "No, here is his name and card." The senior professor looked, "You really mean you met this man?" I said, "Yes." "Do you know what you're talking? You're either bluffing, you're a crook or something." I mean, he went literally. "This is Buckminster Fuller, the genius of the structures. And you are telling us you met him and you spent 2 hours, he doesn't give 1 minute to people." That was one thing which changed my life. That also changed because more than 10 years later, when a very big pavilion was built in Delhi, we called it the Bube instead of calling it the Cube. I just started my practice. When we did the Hetra building, we just did it for fun. We didn't realize it would win the competition. It would win. They said, only thing they said, "Will you come and build it?" No, we did. They did build the pavilion, but not exactly as we did. But even then it made a remarkable thing because they had never seen a heterotetra structure. That was one meeting. Similarly, after some time, again a similar thing happened. When another gentleman, again the flight was delayed, sat with them, talked to them. He talked about Indian architecture, history of architecture, tropical architecture, and nature and weather. Little did I realize again that I was talking to Otto Koenigsberger, who was the head of the Tropical School of Studies in London, who also designed Bangalore, Jaipur, Udaipur, and many other cities in India. This I did not till I went home. There the surprise came. My mother said, "I understand you didn't go to college today. Where did you go?" I said, "One Koenigsberger was there." She said, "Please repeat the name." "Otto Koenigsberger?" I said, "Yes. He was preceding your father as the chief architect of Karnataka. He was the man who inspired him, fought with him. And what did you talk?" "No, he's offered me a seat in London if I ever want to come." He became a great friend, associate. I won't even call beyond a mentor between the two, because he would, all my letters he would reply on how a building should be done in a tropical place. This is where I studied about nature, behavior of patterns of climatology in this thing. This was way back in the 60s. After this, one of the professors, what inspired me is what you asked. So I said, Most of the students in those days would make models in drawings and sketches. I'm not very good at this, but I still make. What happened was, there was a set limit project. It also happened at the same time of Ganesha Chaturthi. And we had to submit the project on a particular time. I did not do the project in paper and pencil. So when it came to the day, I took my brother's car, put my model in the boot of my car, quietly smuggled it into the classroom and pushed it under the desk. Some of the boys had seen what I pushed into the thing. So Professor Sheila tried. She was the consul's wife, was the architect from London, who was taking design classes for us. She was a phenomenal person. She went through everybody. She went take. She said, but one person is still missing. They all giggled. Said, Jaisim, where is your project? Because if you don't submit it, I'll have to take off your seat from the college and throw you out. You have to submit. They all said, Madam. I could still see the fingers pointing at the box. She said, what have you got? Madam, I couldn't draw anything, but I have made a model. Anyway, she gave me a look. She said, okay, bring it out. Put the model on, all of them giggling away. Let's see how it goes about. She said, explain. I walked through the whole process and explained, this is what the zoo is, this is how it will work, this is. Even then she gave me a very serious look. Now, after class, come and meet me at the chambers. They said, finished, that's the end of him. So I was with great nervousness. I went up to her and the chambers. The peon said, no, she doesn't meet her. And I said, no, she's asked me to come. So I went inside. And she very rarely asked anybody to sit down. He was shocked and he said, please sit down. There's only one question. Did you do it yourself? On your own? Yes, madam. What was the reason for you doing not for a drawing? I said, I didn't know. I couldn't explain drawings, how I wanted the movement. So I did a thing, but I wanted to do it. Then I found this Ganesha which my mother had given me to throw it in the well. It was made of clay. I said, why should I throw him in the clay? I bashed him up nicely and made this clay model. And that is how the Ganesha is the creator of this model. He said, I understand now why you did it, how you did it, but now one advice, keep on doing it this way. If you do it this way, one day you'll make a mark. Don't give it up. That was what kept me going. At the same time, I was also reading Ayn Rand's Fountainhead, the book. And then I spent all my little pocket money, whatever it was, in buying everything she had ever written till I finished school. Then came a little change, because the head of the school wouldn't let me pass easily. I said, I'm not interested, because I used to edit newspapers and magazines and things. I knew what and I remembered her words saying, you do continue to do what you want. Because I would not follow the principle of the head principal. He was a very top architect of the Tamil Nadu state in that time. Although he liked me, but he didn't like the way things were. So after the attempt, he said, come and join me. I said, why should I join him? He was not even letting me pass. So I went to his main rival, Mr. Chitule, through a friend of mine, and said, sir, I want to join your firm. He said, but that will never let you get away. This was one incident that happened. But I said, sir, I don't want, I just want to sit in an office to do the internship and things. Here, three things happened in that place of work. My seniors, Bharat and few others were there, because I'm one senior architect. So I used to sit 1 year, 2 years. In the second year or third year, another very interesting thing happened. He went off to Australia for a holiday, for a tour or something. When some people from the Tirupati Devasthanam plot and the university came and wanted to do a big auditorium. That auditorium, they thought, who is going to do things? This was a senior architect, said, Jaisim is sitting here, give it to him, let him fit. So madam, who was running the organization in his absence, gave me the project. I, at the time, was another great fan of Candler and Nervi also, along with Mies van der Rohe. Because Mies van der Rohe's simplicity of work and Candler's shells was still thrilling. So I said, anyway, this project is not going to come at all. So I sketched a reverse shell and put all the seats here, 300 seats here, 200 seats, an auditorium, and everything sketched. Made a 3D simple perspective in hand. and sent it off, closed it and sent it off without asking anybody. After he comes back, there is an envelope on his table. He tears it open. He looks at it, then he calls the chief architect. Who is this person who submitted a design to Tirupati Auditorium? I said, why? Oh, we are very happy to tell you that the proposal has been accepted and they want it built. He had not yet seen the design. So all of them, all seen, he did it. But he said, where is the drawing? I showed the Shelton. Gave me one look. You think you can build this in India? What nonsense is it? What do you think you're trying to prove? Now, he wrote back, called them and said, it is all right, we'll keep the functions and forms the same, but we'll change the structure into something else. But the Vice Chancellor and the trustee said, nothing doing. We have chosen an architect who has submitted design. We didn't submit the design. You submitted it. We want it built. Luckily for me, there was a structural engineer who was there sitting. I said, you go sit with him. Who somehow we managed to sit with him. Imagine a reverse. Now I'm going to cut the story short in a different way. About a month back, I get a phone call from this senior architect who was, because I joined him because I didn't want to join I'll mention his name, Chittale, Sri Krishna Chittale. Jaisim, my wife said, look, Chittale is calling. What's happening? He is the Superman of those days. Can I talk to you? I said, sir, it's a pleasure to hear you after all 30, 40, 50 years. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Very nice of you to have taken the guts. See the picture I've sent in the mail. The Royal Institute of British Architects have recognized it as one of the greatest structures ever built. I mean, I've not told this to many people. I told it to her and a few people. I mean, to be acknowledged 50 years later on a shelf, which everybody else thinks they are great shell builders. Here are the small 26-year-old architects. This is what it takes them 50 years to look at it. They said, we have been looking at various buildings who are all in one. And it is, and that little picture is sensitive. I mean, look at this great man. He need not have acknowledged me. He could have said, Chittale and Son did it. That is the greatness I liked with that person. This is what sometimes changes you into something and gives you the inspiration to say, yes, you win a confidence.